This video demonstrates the use of DesignMerge software to completely automate the production and consecutive numbering of a series of label templates. The demo will focus on variable text, consecutive numbering, barcoding, MultiUp support, and finally we'll show how to use the DesignMerge scripting library to completely automate the process. The entire process will be driven by a flat file database that we're calling a command file. We're calling it a command file because the database actually contains information from more than one job. Each record of the database contains all the information for a single job. In this case, the first field contains a PO number, representing the unique identifier for that job. The next field is the starting consecutive number for the job, followed by the size, the waist size of the pants in this case for the label, a Pantone color that will be applied to the background of the label, and a quantity, how many of the labels to produce. Notice that this can be repeated as many times for as many jobs as you would like. In this small example, we're running 3 jobs for a quantity of 50, 75, and 100. Now let's take a look at how we set up the document using DesignMerge. We've already run through the DesignMerge setup and created a database definition for this job. A database definition simply describes the layout of the data fields that DesignMerge will merge into the InDesign document. Now let's set up the variable links in the InDesign document. To set up a variable link, you highlight the text where you want the link to appear. Here I'm highlighting the waist size, which you recall is one of the fields in the database. And I'm going to choose size from the floating palette over here. Now I'll click the Assign button. What you'll see is a little green underscore that appears, identifying that as a variable in this document. Let's scroll down to the bottom and do the waist size that also appears on the bottom. Again, clicking size, click the Assign button. That's all there is to setting consecutive numbering. We've separated this into 2 separate text boxes. The top text box contains the human readable number version of the consecutive number. What I'm going to do is assign the start number field to this. Below it, we have the barcode. Now what we've done here is we've created what we call a keyword link called barcode_39. This is a code 39 barcode. If we look at the setup for that link, what this is one of our keyword links. And a keyword link is something that, when selected, will process the data in a particular fashion. So what happens is that when the barcode 39 link is processed, it reads the information from the start number field, runs it through a process that encodes the data, applies the appropriate start and stop character, and then places it into the document. Once we've applied the barcode font, we're ready to go. I'll set this up as a variable link, and again you'll see the green underscore appear. Now the final part of this process is we want to control the coloring of this background frame based on information coming from the database. To do that, we created a rule called Change Box Color. What this rule does is that it launches a script called MPS Change Box Color. This is a very simple script that we developed that will be called by DesignMerge every time that box is processed. What the script will do is read the color information for the record that's being processed and apply that as a background color to the box automatically during the merge. You'll see how this works when we merge the document. Next, let's talk about how we set up MultiUp layouts. Now that we've successfully created a 1UP version of this label and tagged it for use with DesignMerge, let's take a look at how to create a MultiUp version of this template. DesignMerge includes a unique feature called sequencing that allows it to work directly with Adobe InDesign's step and repeat feature to easily create MultiUp layouts. Each variable link that is set up by DesignMerge contains a sequence number. By default, the sequence number is always 1, meaning step by 1 record of the database. Now, if I wanted to have a 2UP of this document, for instance, I would just need to duplicate the group that contains the DesignMerge links and assign a sequence number of 2 to all of those links. Of course, we have some automated ways of doing this. Let's see how we can create a 12UP version of this document. To start, I'll use Adobe InDesign's Step and Repeat feature to create the 12-up layout. I click on the 1-up group that I've already tagged with DesignMerge, and now I'll use Step and Repeat to create the 12-up layout. There we have it. Now all we need to do is change the sequence numbers for each of the ups, going from 1, 2, 3 in the order that we'd like the sequences to appear as they flow into the document. Now of course in DesignMerge we have some automated ways of doing this. For instance, what I'll do is I'll choose all of the groups that I want to sequence in the document, and under the DesignMerge menu I'll choose Sequence Page Items. Now with sequence page items, you can specify the ordering of the sequence numbers in the document and tell it which boxes to process. What I'm going to do is order these left to right and top down. And if I check this box that says Process Group Box Members Together, that will ensure that each of the groups gets the appropriate sequence number, so all the items stay together. I'll click OK, and you'll see a progress bar appear for a second. That's it. Now these groups have been sequenced, so let's take a quick look. Here's the original 1-up, and you'll see that this has been assigned still to sequence number 1. Now if we go to the next up and click into the size there, you'll see that the tag is exactly the same, except this is sequence number 2. The next one over should be sequence number 3, and so on. In this easy fashion, we've now created a 12-up document, tagged for use with DesignMerge, and ready to be merged. Now let's take a look at how we automate the production process. Now that we have our 12-up layout created and tagged using DesignMerge, we're ready to start the process. The first thing I'll do is I'll merge a test data file into this layout just to verify that all the links and rules are behaving properly. To do that, I'll start a DesignMerge merge session, and I'll choose this small test data file that I put together, which has 12 records of data in it. You can see that DesignMerge processes the data, reads the color from the database and applies the rule to change the background color of the box, updates the size in the variable link, and also applies the consecutive number to each of the labels in the 12-up document. Everything looks correct, so now let's start the automated process. First I'll revert this document to get it back to its original state. Now I'll go over to the Scripts menu and launch the script that we've called DesignMerge Label Creator. The first thing this prompts us for is a command file. And you recall the command file is that database file, that comma-separated database file that we talked about earlier in the presentation. This contains 3 records of data. Each record has enough information to produce one batch of consecutive numbered labels. I'll choose the command file, and a small user interface is presented. This allows us to choose the output format that we would like. In this case, we've created the script to produce either PDF, PPML, or save it as InDesign documents. And we can process all entries in the data file, or we can choose a specific PO number. In this case, we'll select all entries to process all of the entries in the command file. We've also enabled a checkbox here called Cut and Stack Mode, which will organize the data such that these labels can be trimmed and kept in numerical order, if that's the desired result. For this demonstration, I'm going to turn this option off. Now that everything looks okay, let's proceed with the session. I click OK, and I'm prompted to save a log file. I'm going to save this in the Output folder that I've created inside of our little demo folder here. Once I save this, DesignMerge begins its process. It reads the command file, and for each record or line of the command file, it's going to create a separate PDF file that has been consecutive numbered according to the parameters that are stored within the command file. Here we're starting the first job, and it's preparing the temporary database files that it's going to use to perform the processing. Now DesignMerge is starting the merge process for the first job. You can see the data flowing in on screen. And now a PDF file is being created of that first job. The script now moves on to the next job in the command file, and the same process is repeated. Again, you'll see the data merging in, and then the PDF file will be created. Finally, we're on the last job from the command file. And once again, the same process. DesignMerge merges the records into the layout as I showed you at the start of this presentation, and then creates a PDF file. And that's it. The session is complete. It shows that a total of 3 jobs were processed, there were no errors, and the entire script took 1 minute and 19 seconds to complete. Let's take a look at the output. If we go into the output file, here's our log file, which just represents a trailer of all the activity that took place. And here are the 3 PDFs that were produced. They've been named according to the PO number that was read from the command file. Let's take a look at one of them. So here's the first one. Now you can see that in this case we started with a consecutive number of 456. Notice that the number's been padded to be 5 digits in length. Let's go to the last sheet, and we can see that the numbers continue to go in order all the way to the last number, which is 555. Now, what you'll see is that there are some labels at the end that were not required. Because the number of labels that we produced was not evenly divisible by 12, we have some that are left over. This is what we call an end of file condition in DesignMerge. In other words, there are more labels than there are data to populate the labels. By default, we put in an EOF into this. In the case of this script, however, since we have a default color assigned to the label, it will not be processed by DesignMerge in the case of an end of file. So it's very obvious which of the labels need to be trimmed and discarded from the job. Let's take a look at another job. In this case, again, it's the same process. We have a background color applied to the box, and we have a starting consecutive number. The ending page will show us the labels that need to be trimmed. This is our final job. So there you have it. Using DesignMerge in conjunction with our scripting library and a custom script developed by Meadows, we can completely automate practically any document production process. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about DesignMerge, please visit www.designmerge.com.